Maybe live?
Maybe live. I sure hope so. Welcome to the show today, guys. We figured out some of the issues ahead of time, like where we were going to stream from. As you can see, Kingston has gone ahead and decorated our streaming set with a whole bunch of their cute little, Rex head things that they got going on here. We figured out an internet connection. We've actually got a 50 up, 50 down connection, so that was no problem. But what we didn't figure out was that, a couple of things. I forgot the AC adapter for my laptop, which is fully set up and configured for streaming. I asked for a USB microphone to be brought.
You asked for a suggestion from the camera and editing people, and they suggested XLR, and then we took XLR. Just to clarify. Okay,
well, my suggestion before their suggestion was grabbing a USB one because we know it works. So we brought an XLR microphone, which, as we know from past experience, does not work in both channels with our particular camera. So the way that we've actually got it set up here is we've got a stereo microphone set up, so we're plugged into both XLR inputs on our camera, so the viewers on the one side can actually, this is kind of cool, maybe we should do it this way from now on, because viewers on one side can hear me as if I'm sitting on that side of the screen.
I think they're still probably both closer to you.
But do it properly.
Like if we go Yeah.
So there you go, guys. We are finally live. We are at the show. It has been a heck of a week so far, and this is going to be a bit of a special episode because it's special in the sense that we don't have our lower third. It's special in the sense that we don't have.
Special is in there's the lack of preparation.
Yes. So this episode,
I'm just going to trash on it immediately.
Is all about helping you guys appreciate the usual quality standards and timeliness of the WAN show.
Yeah, because this time, we were late by 50 minutes. Usually we're late by 30 minutes. So that makes our usual look so much better.
Yeah. See, right, guys? And yes, this will come on YouTube later at some point. I have no idea how it figures into the release schedule because, as you guys have probably noticed, we've been releasing about a video every 3 hours since we arrived at the show, and that is exactly what we're going to talk about today on the stream is what has been going on and what have been the highlights so far.
I'm going to drop right into this. Have you seen that crazy Chinese car?
No.
The electric car, 1,000 horsepower, over 200 miles per hour?
No, I did not.
You haven't seen the Faraday car?
No, I have not.
Okay, I'm going to drop into this immediately. Looks like Batmobile. 100%. Looks ridiculous. Has over 1,000 horsepower. Can go over 200 miles an hour. Is an electric car. Just ridiculous. Some crazy Chinese entrepreneur company thing dumped huge amounts of money into this, and the idea is that the platform, much like Tesla did, they're like, look, the Roadster, and then now they're changing to other things.
Yeah.
It's the platform that they're really trying to show off. The crazy 1,000 horsepower electric car is mainly just to pull people in and obviously get huge amounts of people talking about it because that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. But the main thing they're showing off, if you watch their monitors and stuff, is that they have a modular platform and they want to turn this into other vehicles. So, yeah.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's got kind of a
Hot Wheels, Batmobile kind of something.
It looks like the like the Batmobile and a Lambo had a baby.
Yeah.
And
a little bit less aggressive than a Batmobile, a little bit more aggressive than a Lambo.
Man, that is a very interesting looking vehicle. So it can go from this is great. So in theory, a 1,000 horsepower machine of this weight could use its 4 electric motors at each wheel to hit 60 miles per hour in 3 seconds. But that, of course, will remain purely theoretical. So Faraday has already committed. It's really interesting that they went with Faraday for the name of the company.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. They have already committed to building a $1 billion factory outside of Las Vegas.
Real close to Elon Musk's Gigafactory.
Thanks in part to $335 million in incentives from the states. And they are actually just weeks away from breaking... Sorry, the state of Nevada. So they're actually just weeks away from breaking ground on that project.
I love how fast we ditched screen sharing here. I guess that was probably just my fault completely. My bad, everyone.
Yeah.
I'll stop leaning over and start doing work. What website are you on? Yahoo? Okay.
Yeah, and well, yeah.
Are we done now?
Yeah, I think we're kind of done.
Okay. I was on my way to Chiro, and I've heard of this. I've talked to a few people about this.
Yeah.
I've been talking about it on Twitter. I talked to a few different taxi drivers about it.
Yeah.
Like I've been around, and then walking to Chiro, I was like, oh, Faraday, and then looked over, and their entire booth was like completely packed, and it was the only booth that I saw like multiple people filming all at once.
Fantastic.
Like I think this might be the biggest thing from CES this year.
There's still a lot of time for this
There
to
is.
be a complete bust.
Oh yeah.
There's tons of time for electric, which is still not even beginning to be established as a mainstream technology. There's still a lot of time for the traditional automakers to kind of go, okay, well, all right, I guess we better get our crap in gear. I mean, actually, one of the things that I've had the most fun with here at the show has been BMW.
Yeah.
So I test drove the i8, and I also got a chance to check out some of the concepts that they have for touchless control inside the car.
At the same, I totally hear what you're saying, and I agree to a large degree. But at the same time, I think I'm not surprised that this is happening, because if there was any time for a new player to jump into the auto space, it's probably on the tail of electric.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, that's when there's a huge fundamental change that occurs. That's when there's time for others to get more competitive.
The ground equals out a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, a perfect example would be something like, let's say the YouTube video sharing platform completely disappeared overnight. You know, for whatever the new platform is, we're at an advantage still because we have that viewership that is going to be out there looking for us. But I just realized we never tweeted that we're live.
Hey, we didn't do a pre-show.
Yeah. Well, this has been definitely. It's all about helping them appreciate what we normally do. So while we are still sort of building up an audience on a new platform, that's a perfect time for someone else to come in, be really competitive, be really awesome, and basically leave us in the dust. It doesn't mean that we're, down for the count by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But like you're saying, it just means that there's more of an opportunity and a major platform shift like this where a lot of the existing ecosystem, I mean, let's face it, beyond, molding for interiors and, sources for, leather and metal and being able to create body components, there's a lot of stuff that can be reused, but but a lot of the science behind it, a lot of the engineering behind it, and a lot of the facilities to build this stuff. I mean, an entire facility dedicated to building gasoline or diesel engines is all of a sudden not an advantage. It's not a problem, and you could certainly retrofit it. It's not like the facility is all of a sudden garbage. It's just not nearly the same kind of advantage that you would have had when every car was going to have a gasoline or a diesel engine in it. And basically guaranteed, yeah. and all of the business advantages and economies of scale that go with having a production line that is running at X capacity all the time, and you've got this predictable flow of how many workers you need versus it's this completely new category. We don't know how much infrastructure to build up. We still have to figure out the costing on it. We have to figure
demand is still questionable. Blah.
Demand is a huge question, and you're an established automaker. You're not allowed to be just sitting around losing money. You have shareholders who expect you to be making money because you've been around for 100 years. Whereas a new company coming in, the expectation is everyone applauds when, hey, we lost only 20 million this year. It's like, whoa, yeah, what an improvement, yeah. So it's a completely different standard as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this tweet,
Sure.
So do you want to jump into whatever our next topic here is?
I still find it weird that we have topics. BMW AirTouch 3D, you probably know things about that.
So that was what I was talking about that they were doing. I really like the concept that they have behind the electric stuff that they're showing off. What did they call it? Like i8 Future Concept something. Yeah, I Vision Future Interaction. I was like, okay.
That's a hell of a name.
Yeah, it's a cool name, but there is some really neat stuff about it. So it's got this super wide panoramic display, and then it's got a dual layer display right in front of the driver, and then it's got a heads-up display that is visible as you're looking through the windshield. And then the way that you interact with all of this equipment is actually kind of like as if the panoramic display was a touchscreen, except that you just kind of gesture in the air and you kind of go, oh, like this and like that. The video is already up for it, but the thing that stood out to me most about it, aside from, I really liked the dual layer display. I haven't actually seen that practically applied in any meaningful way yet. And it was really cool. So it would have like topographical information on the rear display and your route information and speed and other details on the front display, like overlaid in a way that as things moved around and shifted, looked really cool and futuristic, but looked cool and futuristic in a way that wasn't compromising the functionality of the thing, like we see so often with a concept device or vehicle or whatever else. But the thing that stood out to me the most about it, aside from that, was when you sat in it, the seat was really comfortable, like really comfortable. You kind of sink into, you lean back and you're holding onto the steering wheel facing forward.
I like the live action demonstration.
But also very comfortable to kind of shift your butt about 20 degrees, put an arm on the very wide middle armrest, obviously designed for two middle armrest, and have a conversation, because that concept car would be a concept of a fully self-driving car. So they're kind of sitting there going, yeah, we don't want to sacrifice the ultimate driving experience, because driving is a verb, and you're the driver, you drive the car. It's driving. They don't want you to, their whole tagline, ultimate driving experience. They don't want you to not be able to drive the car and have a great time. So it's not a couch on wheels, but it also really did think about,
those do exist,
conversing between the passenger and driver, just kind of looking at each other, got a video playing on the dash while the car drives itself as well, which I don't know. I thought that was really cool.
Now we just need self-driving couches on wheels.
Hey, I'm taking it one step further. I'm going with the Homer Simpson dream sequence where he's got the flying bed.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
and I want cherubs sort of holding on to each of the bedposts and kind of carrying me off to wherever it is that I need to go.
That'd be fantastic.
I want to take this opportunity to get you guys to tweet at Linus Tech. Let me know if there's anything that you guys want us to talk about. And while you guys are tweeting at us, we've actually got a couple of special guests that wanted to come and just kind of say hi. These guys helped us out a lot this year. So I'm gonna move my chair over here. I'm actually just gonna like super ghetto widen the shot over there, and these guys can squeeze into the middle. Luke and I will just have to yell so you can hear us.
It'll be all right. How many systems do you guys have here?
I think we have 7.
7.
Yeah, 7 this year. We cut way back.
How many did you have last year?
Like 12.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I thought you were joking.
No,
we
were
cut way
yeah,
back.
no, we had like 12. So yeah, we got a little sleep this year actually before we came. So
Wow.
that was different.
That's an
The
improvement.
truck was completely packed.
Yeah.
The 7 gamer system, everything, all the night before, and then in the shop ready for us to leave.
Okay, so come on in a little bit
All right,
closer here,
squeeze
guys.
in
I
tight.
think we're all so.
Running into bags and stuff.
So this is Bob Stewart and Rod Rosenberg of BS Mods, and you guys will probably recognize them if you ever watched that Mod 24 contest that Luke and I sort of emceed / hosted. These
Here,
guys
everyone shuffle over a little bit.
Yeah. These guys did end up winning the thing, but they do far more than just build, white and green themed machines around the GTX 980. And I'd love to hear from you guys. What has been the highlight of the show for you so far?
We spent a lot of time looking at cases, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Really? Cases.
surprising.
Cases, yeah.
Fascinating.
So, a couple cases that we want to see right away. What's InWin doing? Because they do some pretty remarkable stuff.
Uh-huh.
And
Signature and whatnot.
They do
boat.
anything interesting this year?
they-
Boat.
That's not England. That was
that-
Liam.
yeah,
Neeson.
it's not
He
quite.
said and a
we're
boat.
jumping.
Oh,
Yeah.
and a boat.
So InWin's got a brand new What was the name of
The Signature series?
Yeah, the Signature
I don't remember
series.
it.
It's actually an H-frame.
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 H-frame 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
the H-frame series 2 or
And,
whatever.
you know, remarkable lighting and a custom power supply size.
Oh yeah.
A custom power supply. So
And
why?
a windowed power supply.
Yeah, with
And
lights.
a lit power supply.
Yeah.
It's the same idea as the Tau, where if the lights on the inside of the power supply are not on, it looks like a mirror.
two-way
But when the
Oh,
light
I
is
see.
on, you can see on the inside, so you can see all the internal components of the power supply. It's actually pretty sick. And it's designed to, you can only get it if you buy that case.
Right.
It's designed to go with that case, so the aesthetic is the same.
Which is great if the power supply ever fails in the future and you're looking to replace
Yeah,
it. So
it only fits in that case.
yeah, that seems like a good idea. What else you guys seen on the case side of things? I mean, honestly,
man.
it's been pretty quiet from my perspective.
Well, we saw some. Well, there's every year there's new things. That's why we're here. But I think we saw the Deep Cool suite.
Yeah,
they had
the-
some really unique things going on there. And then Leon Lee with the prototype builds of the yacht, the boats, and so those were kind of cool too. We had some ideas when we saw those that we'd like to, turn them into battleships or just something cool. But
I like the Coast Guard idea.
yeah, Coast Guard.
Coast
Yeah,
Guard is
maybe
good.
do Coast Guard theme. There's a lot you could do with them really. So those were pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, squeeze in a bit more. So you guys are sitting right at the table.
All right,
I've got people
all right.
complaining
Oh, okay.
sound is too low.
All
I'll
right,
just lean
sorry.
in. Okay, so these guys did us a huge favor. Keep squeezing in.
Squeeze. All right.
Okay, these guys did us a huge favor because I am fairly certain that if we had shipped 7 gamers, 1 CPU down to Vegas, it was not going to get here in one piece. In fact, one of their fellow modders, Travis Jank,
way.
had
No
a
way.
system completely destroyed in shipping. Incidentally, a system that was in the same case that we
Yeah.
used for 7 gamers, 1 CPU. Like, what were you saying? Boot marks?
Yeah, boot
Yeah,
marks on
yeah.
the
What?
box.
On the box, when they got it, it had shoe marks all over it. Like somebody used it as like a booster or something to climb up a wall or who knows what. But
On
yeah,
the-
it was destroyed.
On the very stout Case Labs case, they've got the pressed in pieces to allow the panels to attach, and those ripped out. And so panels are tweaked, motherboard tray bent, totaled.
And a missing stick of memory.
Gone. Not in the box, not
Yeah,
underneath the
just
flaps
not
of the
even-
box, not stuck to tape.
just
gone.
gone.
It's great because our viewers give me so much crap for harping on case manufacturers about packing material, but you guys get it, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
You guys understand how important is the packing material when you decide to buy a case if you are having a system built in it
Right.
before it is shipped to you.
Yeah. It's
Shipping
very
a loaded chassis, no packing material seems to be designed for it.
Well, yeah, the packing material is actually just made for the empty case.
Yeah.
So that's what it's designed for. Once it's been built, if you just do ship it somewhere, it's not designed for that extra weight. So there's a chance something can happen. So we usually try to build wooden crates and that fit that particular build, and that's saved us. Although we've got some builds back that the wooden crate was taped together, hoping that it would hold together. So that stuff happens. So.
Okay, so I've been meaning to ask you guys this.
Uh-oh.
Give me a score out of 10
Oh, I know it's coming. Oh, I know
on
it's
7 gamers, 1 CPU. I want to know what you guys think.
on as an overall, or
You can decide. No, let's say on the physical build. The physical build. Give me a score out of 10. I want your honest
boy.
thoughts. How'd I do?
can that camera pick up my face turning red right now? It's like, I don't know. You go first, Rod.
All right, I think I'm gonna go with 7 because
A 7.
Yeah,
That's actually more
so-
generous than I was expecting. Okay.
the SSDs were done well.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
double stick tape. We love that stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you've got the full window. You got a nice display of an impressive array of SSDs.
Yeah.
You've got a theme that runs throughout. It's got paint, it's got tubing, it's got cables that all tie together. It's got fans, custom fans. I mean, who can't love those Noctua fans. So
Yeah. The ones
yeah.
who don't have the Linus Tech Tips edition one, that's who.
Yeah. So I think it was well done. I would love.
Hold on, that's the next question.
Okay.
Okay, so you gotta give me a score too.
All right, so I'm gonna give you a 7.5.
Oh.
Wow, so are you just like, are you basically kissing up at this point?
Yeah. No, just for that half of an extra brownie point, you know. So no, actually, that thing was really clean. You know, we are very particular with every build we do. So we make sure that all the wires are running correctly and super tight and shortened to the right length and stuff like that. The one thing I could say that you guys maybe should have done is added some lighting inside the case.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see that, and it was nice that you went with a two-tone, so you had a little bit of extra, extra flavor there. So some different colors, mixing it up a little bit. That was good. But the layout was great. Everything. It was just actually, you guys did a really nice job. So I think 7.5 is probably right on the money for us. I mean, if you had one of our paint jobs, of course the score would go way up there. But, it's like, no, it was a great
Brownie
job.
points,
Yeah.
promotion.
Right.
This guy's got everything under control.
Okay. So I can't take credit for the extra half a point because I came to Luke and I said, Luke, orange or black for the tubing? And Luke goes, half and half. And I'm like,
Safe answer.
well, no, I don't consider that a safe answer. I think black is a safe answer.
Yeah, for sure.
Black would be the safest of the three choices, with probably all orange being the most kind of out there. But I kind of went, no, pick one. And he goes, no. You've got the black and orange in the cabling. You have to go black and orange in the tubing. I'm like, well, hold on a second. We've got other orange accents. We've got the orange accents on the fans. What about those orange accents? Is that enough? He goes, no.
Well, also because the fans were black and orange, and the cables were black and orange, and everything else was black and orange, and
right.
we wanted the tubing just to be one.
Do you guys ever
Very
get
good.
along? Do you ever just get along and agree on anything, or is it always like?
We get along, but we're like, he's a car that's driving right, and I'm a car that's driving left.
Yeah.
So we just go blunt and then go forward.
You're just stuck there, you're kind of.
That's how we make progress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Other people would tell you, you all got to drive in the same direction.
Right.
We would tell you just kind of ram up against the guy next to you,
Yeah.
and kind of, it might not be as efficient.
But sometimes you cinch on, and then both motors help.
No, I actually don't think it works that way.
All right.
But that's very, very, very good that you
I
like
tried.
that.
Physics.
Okay, Rod, what would you have done differently?
I gotta add the hard line.
Are you really? You're gonna rag on me about the hard line?
But it was a great job with tubing, and hardline is not everything, but with the two CPUs and the fact that you've got that excellent 7-way block, I just think the hardline would have just put the build over the top.
Okay, so hard line and lighting, and then what do I get without a BS Mods paint job?
Oh, without the paint job?
Because the paint job turns it up to 11.
Oh man, I'd say hard line and lighting. I'd say an extra full point, 8.5.
For sure.
8.5. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's good to know. I know what to strive for next time. I am probably not going to end up doing hardline anytime soon. Did you guys see my personal rig update yet?
I have not seen it yet.
Okay, so that's only over on Vessel, and you guys are gonna cringe.
Oh, great.
So freaking hard on that video because I went into it thinking, okay, I'm doing hardline tubing on this, and I get out the heat gun, and I get out the monsoon bending kit, and I get out all the blocks and everything, and I go and I put the GTX Titan X in the top, and then I put the Intel 750 SSD in another slot, and I go, oh,
Yeah.
hold on a second.
What is?
How am I going to get a bend between this full height card with a water block and this half height card with a water block and not have the bottom card interfere with the bottom of the case when I try and get a right angle bend out of it? So tell me, so from there I go and I'm like, okay, we have to do soft tubing, but I didn't account for this, and so none of my fittings are gonna fit Like this is a 4U chassis. It doesn't even
Right.
have the same width as some tower chassis. So when you're coming off the graphics card, so when you're coming off even the reservoir, I was having trouble with the bends.
Yeah.
Right.
So I end up digging up these remember that kind of rusty blood red that Bits Power had?
Right.
I end up digging those out for a black and blue themed build otherwise, and I'm like, okay, I've got some 90s and some 45s. Like maybe I can make this work. And then finally I find a couple of 90 silvers, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just go with my ancient true silvers. The old silver
Right.
plated
Works on
ones.
everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, oldies, but I believe they're goodies, and that is exactly how old people think. And and then I end up actually using the heat gun to bend soft tubing.
Right.
In order to
That
get
extra little twist to it.
Yeah.
So you end up with that weird angle coming out of the fitting, kind of like this,
Yeah.
instead of coming out straight and bending nicely. But I don't want to score from you guys on that one, actually, but
All right, yeah, we'll not do that.
if you want to watch the train wreck, then go ahead. Go ahead and enjoy
It's
it.
in my plans.
Yeah, we will definitely. No,
Okay. So the last thing here is this is something that we've kind of been kicking around internally, and something that I know that you guys have expressed interest in. But I'd love to hear from the audience. We have never done whether it's like a tech showdown style build off, or whether it's a scrapyard wars. We have never done anything like that with a team battle. So, we're formally inviting you guys to participate with us, but we are going to leave this up to the audience.
Oh boy.
Ooh. Ooh.
Is this like a rap battle / mod battle, or is this just straight up modding the whole time?
It better be rap battle.
Do you want to see me and Luke get destroyed by these guys,
Cars bumping.
or do you want to see Luke and I each pick who we think is the best of BS mods?
Oh wow.
And split the two dream teams and make them compete against each other.
Oh man.
So I'm gonna create a Twitter poll here, guys, and we're gonna do this
Here we
thing.
go.
So
You guys have been working on this, haven't you? You just didn't pull that out of the hat.
which team
The
battle?
live decision was out of the hat.
Oh
the
my
team
God.
battle was not out of the hat.
Really?
Okay. So I'm creating this. So Linus and Luke versus BS mods. Oh, well, I guess you guys are just BSM.
There you go.
There you go. Or actually, here, no. Let's just do LMG versus BS mods, or split the teams. Okay. All right. Let's tweet this. Let's tweet this puppy, and let's have a look at those results as they come in. I will share that link with you guys in the Twitch chat here. I need you all to vote, and I need you guys to be serious here, okay? Because this could determine, although I retain my veto powers, this could determine how this is going to go down. So in the meantime, why don't we go back to sort of the regular Twitter boards here and see what you guys have submitted that you'd like us to talk about from the show. So, oh man, of course the entire Twitter feed is full of like team battle scrapyard wars, team battle tech showdown. Okay, so Jordan Layton asks, what's up with the 8K stuff there? At a certain point, isn't more Ks just useless? And have you spent much time on the show? Did you see any of the 8K
I
stuff?
have seen 0.
Okay, have you guys seen
Literally
any 8K
zero.
stuff this year?
Yeah.
We did see a couple.
What do you think?
If you're going big, I mean, these huge displays, 80 plus inches, 8K is cool, but where do you get content?
That's a
Yeah. Those demos look so beautiful on these ultra thin screens, and it's like, okay, I don't think Dish Network's quite pumping 8K
Well, you
yet.
just watch those demos and loop over and over and over. I mean,
Now, I'm kind of offended by this, to be perfectly honest, because I'd like to point out to you guys that there are a lot of great YouTube creators out there, okay?
Sure.
Making a lot of great content,
Yeah.
Right?
and YouTube actually does support 8K at this time.
Wow.
It doesn't look any better than, you know, a Blu-ray at 1080p because of the bitrate. But I'm still going to sit here and be offended because that's the kind of guy I am.
You got your 8K cameras
he
then,
said
huh?
it, I didn't.
Well, I don't know.
He's like a drama alert sign over there. That's right now.
Yeah, okay, so in response to Jordan, my whole take on 8K is that unless we're talking about 8K displays that sit about this far in front of your face in a VR headset, I'm really not that interested because even 720p to 1080p, I can really tell. Like that's very noticeable to me.
Definitely.
But it's not like the jump from, you know, 480p to 720p either. The difference between watching a DVD versus a 720
and 480.
Yeah, yes. So the difference between a 480p DVD and a 720p video is huge. The difference between 720p and 1080p is definitely more enjoyable. And I'm talking on like a 55-inch TV in a normal sized living room. Like what 99% of people are at or below right now. And the jump from 1080p to 4K is like, oh yeah, I can see it. But by the first, 3 minutes of the movie that I'm watching, I've completely forgotten about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's what movies are. Watching a movie, unless you're some kind of, cinema equipment buff like Brandon, is not about the technique that they used to blah, 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 blah. And even for him, it's not about the resolution. So the only people that care about that, there's the guys that sit down and watch a movie for the escapism, and that's, I think, most people. Then there's the guys that are getting into the techniques behind it, and then there's the guys who are just straight gearheads and just want to know that a higher number camera and more of those cameras was used to make it. Sorry, they shot it in 4K stereo 3D? No, that's not good enough. We need 6K stereo 3D. I mean, the reality of it is one of the most popular digital film cameras in Hollywood right now, the Arri Alexa, is a 2.5K camera. That image is considered acceptable by Hollywood directors who are, super easy to please with the equipment that they use and super, flexible and that stuff. That's considered good enough for a movie theater. And I bet you didn't notice. So I'm personally not sold on 8K. With that said, I think that for very, very closely positioned displays, particularly for VR, it cannot come soon enough. And I love that the displays are coming so that the display interface technology can catch up, so that the content ecosystem can be built so it can become mainstream, so people can demand it and they can feel like, oh, if we make this, then people will think we're a cool company. I look forward to all that stuff, but not so that I can have an 8K TV.
Just so you guys know, right now we're waiting for another update on the polls, but currently it's 52% and 48%.
Really? That's close.
It was sitting 50-50 for a long time. Currently it's 52-48. Currently leaning towards LMG versus PS1.
Interesting.
The big
all right.
showdown.
We still got to remain friends after this, so we got to make sure.
It's like Mario Party, man. We cut ties.
Jordan also asked, what happened in the Asus booth? You seemed pretty salty. Oh, no. I love those guys. They're great guys. No salt whatsoever. I do not like going to shows and being shown something that people won't tell me what it is, because I want to bring you guys the most complete information that I can. But the only reason that laptop drove me so crazy was that it surprised me. They were doing something I didn't understand. That form factor and that CPU should not have been running continuously without throttling. And they were really smug. They were super smug. They were like, that was exactly the look on my face. I asked about it, and everyone in the booth turned to me and went, oh. Okay, it's not quite how it went.
Guarantee that didn't happen.
I wasn't salty, but I was pushing them pretty hard, including pressuring them publicly through the video to tell me what's up so I could tell you guys They wouldn't, they didn't, and I can't tell you anything other than that looks like a very impressive little notebook. Okay, Luke, your thoughts on eGPU technology. Is it becoming viable for the average consumer now that we have USB 3.1/Thunderbolt?
I haven't actually seen many of those devices here. I've literally seen 0.
Gigabyte had one.
I did not see it.
Or, excuse me, MSI. MSI had one.
They didn't show it to me.
Oh, well, it was over on the system side. You were focused on component over
Yes.
there. Okay.
To be completely fair, I've seen none of the new ones.
So not
Okay.
very many of that.
Do you want me to kind of like describe what
You
has
were
been here?
systems at the show. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I saw a couple of them. I saw Razer's Core, which is quite small, beautiful aluminum construction. Man, did they ever nail that? Did you guys see it?
Yes.
I haven't
Very,
even seen
very
it.
nice.
How thick is that aluminum? Is it 3-4 mil?
Yeah, probably 3 mil.
Really, really thick. And they've made it toolless. So you can actually just pop out a handle, shoot, you slide the whole thing out. Like it feels kind of like a server blade or something. Like you kind of slide the whole thing out and you can change out the graphics card and shoot, click back in. Like really, really nice. The one thing that's not ready yet is both Asus and Razer are talking about hot plug. Okay, hot plug PCI Express is not easy. It's not simple. It requires BIOS cooperation. It requires driver cooperation on both NVIDIA's side and Intel's side. It is not simple. And for both of them, I basically yanked out the cords, crashed the systems, and was like, okay, so it's not working yet. And they're like, no. But by the time the product comes, and I think they're both looking at sort of the next 2 to 4 months time frame, they're both expecting to have it working, because that was one of the things that was kind of kludgy about the GS30 Shadow, MSI's like giant dock thing that their laptop went on top of, was that you had to shut down the system in order to switch modes and then turn it back on. MSI actually has a new dock, so that's the third one that I saw this year, which is not USB 3.1 and Thunderbolt. So their new dock is much slimmer, it's much better looking, but it still has that same connector, so it's actually forward and backwards compatible is my understanding, and will work with multiple different notebooks from their lineup. Their solution has a couple of advantages. Number one is that it's PCIe 16x, as if anyone really cares about that, because the performance is not really a factor. PCIe 3.04x is just fine for an external GPU. But they are sticking with that large, like more than PCIe shaped connector so that they can have additional devices that operate in the dock, so that they can have that full bandwidth, and they are willing to trade off the ability to hot plug it, because I think from their perspective, the user should not be hot plugging a GPU at this point in time. So MSI, who I considered a front runner in external graphics cards on laptops, back when we covered the GS30 Shadow last year, is kind of going, well, hold on, everybody, let's slow down. I don't think we're ready for this. Another thing that I really need to know before I can talk about how amazing this is what is interoperability going to look like? Razer wasn't quite as cagey as Asus about this, where Razer said, we're validating on the Blade Stealth, and if it works on other stuff, great. Asus is maybe thinking about locking it down.
Wow.
So it would only work on, presumably an ROG, but it would only work on an Asus laptop with USB 3.1 and Thunderbolt 3. MSI's is obviously completely proprietary, and if it's tied down to this model of laptop or this brand of laptop, then it takes away a lot of the benefit of swappable graphics.
Right.
Which is that you can upgrade your system kind of piecemeal as you go. Hey, I need more GPU horsepower now, and then my GPU is actually still okay, but maybe it's time to trade in the old laptop. If that's not an option, then I think that really hurts the solution, with the final piece of the puzzle being price. No one is talking about it. Mm-hmm. So Luke, you remember back when we did that Magma 3T thing, right?
Yeah.
So we covered an old Thunderbolt, like quite large, like the width of a shoebox thing, that actually accepted 3 add-in cards. And I had understood, because I was wrong, that it would work with graphics cards, and that thing was like $900. Neither Razer nor Asus would comment on price other than I got kind of a vibe from Min at Razer that the core should be less than that.
Did you start at 1 and go, is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4?
No, I had a poor strategy going into it. I started at, that thing was $899, and he went, okay, it's not that. Which actually doesn't even necessarily mean cheaper now that I think about it.
There's an update. We're at almost 2,000 votes. It's now 55-45.
Wow, that's closer than I thought. I thought everybody go straight up just like, let's tear them apart, you know?
Really? So they want to see LMG versus BS mods.
Rip.
Very interesting.
We tried, Linus.
So they just
It was a good run.
They like to see me eat humble pie.
I think, oh man.
Okay. This question is from Kylie Kiefer. When can we get the WAN hoodies that I am wearing? By the way, all LMG staff are now equipped with the Linus Tech Tips WAN hoodies. We actually had them bring a few early samples to the show so we could wear them in the videos and wear them out about as kind of like a team uniform. Thank you, Hoodie Model 3.
That's straight up gangsta right there. That's
Vaughn, do you know
awesome.
when the shipments arrive? Like, do we know? I'm getting the old. So it's better to promise nothing and deliver something eventually than to promise a date and even deliver something eventually after that date. So we're gonna go with dunno. We're definitely gonna have more Noctua fans in a couple of months, and if the WAN hoodie, which by the way, like, I apologize, but it was expensive to make, and there's a lot of logistics that goes into it. There's margins for the resellers. The WAN hoodie is going to be $99 US. If the WAN hoodie is a success for us, I will promise that you guys will see more stuff like this in the future from us, because we think there's really a lot more to our merch than just printing a logo on a t-shirt, and we want to really explore some of the other cool ideas that especially Edsel has for stuff that we can do. Have you guys seen this yet?
It looks. I was just admiring it. It looks pretty high quality, good thread count. You know, I mean, I think it's right out there.
Egyptian cotton.
Yeah,
It's
right.
really
What is
not-
this?
no, no.
What is this? Silk?
Chinese silk sheets.
Yeah, right.
Luke, do you want to talk about the HTC Vive?
The Vive made a lot of big changes. I haven't actually been able to meet with HTC yet.
Okay.
But
you've tried it though, right?
I have tried it in
Okay.
the Paint application,
me
which
too.
is actually a good demo. I know it sounds boring, but the Paint application, you get to move around in 3D space, and basically you have a brush.
Yeah,
Essentially,
all
you can
kinds of
change
brushes.
different
Yeah.
things.
We
you
both
guys have
of
done
us
it.
did it.
Have you tried the new Vive on it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What did you guys think?
I love it. It's
He spent
awesome.
a long time. I mean, he spends a lot of time in a paint booth already.
Yeah, but I had some fun. I was
the
like,
virtual paint booth, Bob was like gone.
I created a whole campground with grass and a tree
That's
and
awesome.
fire and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a sign and all kinds
So
of
they
stuff.
give
yeah.
you crazy effects and stuff. The reason why I think the paint demo is actually really good for a Vive, and the reason why a lot of people give the paint demo, is because you can move around in 3D space with the sensors being spaced
it's
out, and you
amazing.
can paint wherever you want
Yep.
with the controllers. So like you said, make a campground. You could probably walk through the
Oh
campground.
yeah,
and paint.
absolutely. It's just
Yeah.
like as if you could spray paint into the air and have it stick to the air right
Yeah.
where it is, and just then you can just move all around and
Paint craft.
it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's
But
so
basically,
cool.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
so
amazing.
they've made some changes. This is the part that I don't know about because I haven't met with them yet. There's now a camera on the front of the Vive.
Right. I heard about that.
I'm not entirely sure what the intention for that is.
Oh,
There's a lot of different ideas people are throwing around. One of them is literally, so if someone calls you on your computer, you could pass through and then see what's going on. Or if you're still worried about the bounds of the sensors and you're like, I really feel like I'm going to run into something, you could pass through and check what's in front of you without taking it off and then having to realign, and maybe you smudged a lens with your oily hair and now you have to clean it or something like that.
Right.
Crap. It's
Yeah.
genuinely annoying, so it's maybe nice for a pass through. The controllers though, I don't know what's going on with the controllers. Before, the controllers were a touchpad on the top, fairly standard setup. Now it's still a touchpad, but there's this
Got that.
ring,
Yeah.
and I have no idea what the ring's about. I'm wondering if it's trying to up the accuracy when you're on tilt
I
and
thought
stuff.
when you twisted it, that might be what it was for, and it seemed to be accurate that way
It
too.
did seem to be very accurate, and it had less jumping and disconnects than the previous controllers did.
Very smooth.
But like, that's a crazy design. So I don't know. I still need to meet with HTC to figure out what the heck they're doing.
Once the helmet's on, though, you don't see it, so you know.
No, yeah, I
you
know.
can't see your
Yeah,
things, you know. So
it feels like
they
the
would
old
look
one.
weird,
I'm just
but-
wondering. I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm just wondering why they decided to do it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it seems to be more accurate, so that's great. I'm just wondering what the theory behind it is, or if that's all there is. There might be something more.
I don't really worry about that too much because I figure, you know, you already look weird anyway, walking around with something on your head. So, you know, what does it matter at that point? But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a reason for it. But.
One of the biggest things I noticed here, though, was a lot of people have been fighting about exclusives over the VR headsets. I haven't weighed in that a ton because they're not out yet and we're not seeing what's going on. I think I kind of really get it now. The demos that you're seeing that are really good on the Vive,
Right.
even that aren't exclusive, are not the demos that you're seeing that are really good on the Oculus. They're different strengths. They're better at different things, and I don't even really care about the exclusives because a lot of those games I wouldn't want to play on the other one anyways.
Right.
I don't know.
So, okay, I'm gonna cut this topic in half with a shout out for Squarespace for allowing us to be here at CES 2016. Guys, if you want to.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where Sevidus is going. Bye, Sevidus.
Oh.
Anyways, build it beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
if you want to build it beautiful, head over to squarespace.com/Linus, use offer code Linus, and you can start building your website today. They've got a 2-week trial for free, and you can play around with all their tools. You don't have to be a techie. You can just be someone who's like, oh yeah, I like that template. Oh yeah, I like these pictures. I'm going to put these pictures onto that template. I'm going to arrange them like this. And whether it's a blog site, whether it's a store, or whether it's a portfolio, like, you know, if you build custom computer cases, say for example, and you just wanted a simple turnkey solution, hey, you know, we're done a rig, snap, 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 here's a gallery, boom, done. Squarespace is a great solution for all those kinds of things. If you buy a whole year of Squarespace at a time, you will actually get your domain name thrown in for free for the first year, and if you use offer code Linus, which is linked in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube or Vessel, then you can get 10% off your first purchase on Squarespace.
Build it beautiful.
Thank you, Luke.
No problem.
So let's go back to the follow-up question. This one is actually from 10-Day Dongo. That cannot be a real name. And if it is, cool, man. So you just said, you left off, as a refresher, you left off saying the exclusive titles here, I wouldn't necessarily even want to play here. So then, what I gather from that is that much like many hardcore console gamers would obviously own a Wii U, a PlayStation 4, and an Xbox One. Hold on, I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
And it's a two-part question. Is your expectation that you and other hardcore VR enthusiasts are just going to have to pony up and buy both? Or all? And part two of the question is, so let's talk then about how much that's going to cost now that we know the price of the Oculus Rift.
And there's interesting debate on the price of the Oculus Rift, and I might not be on the side that everyone necessarily thinks I'm on. I'm not even really on a side. I think there's fair arguments for both. Yes and no, especially looking at the New York apartment argument, which is people don't have as much space as they used to wherever you happen to be, but especially in a New York apartment. The Vive is actually a really difficult sell. I've seen very awesome demos on the Vive, like incredible demos. The Everest demo that NVIDIA has been showing off, like super cool. If you can get a setup in your house where you have like an ice box behind a fan and you wear like a parka and you do the Everest demo, no, seriously, it's awesome. Man. Because they used actual footage from Everest.
Wow.
It's not like a random, some guy tried to see how accurately he could recreate it. Like you're on Everest and it's the really high resolution screen. It's amazing. But you need a lot of space for that. Right. So I don't think the adoption's going to be as high. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to someone going, oh, I have the space to be able to get a Vive. Maybe I'm going to do that. Or someone going, I kind of need a seated experience that just has a little sensor in front of me. I'm going to get a Rift. And then some people being like, YOLO, I have enough space and gratuitous amounts of money, I'm going to buy both. I think buying both and having a gaming rig that's fast enough is going to be a little bit of a hard sell for the average person, because that's a lot of money, because I don't see the Vive being that much cheaper or cheaper at all. I don't know.
Okay, so then now that you've said that, you don't see the Vive being cheaper. Talk about $599.
$599 is expensive, and I know Oculus talked early on about how they're trying to not make they're not going in to make huge amounts of money on the headset, and I know the development kits were cheaper, but if you line them all up and you look at the years that they've been out for, I know it's been a while since Development Kit 1, but you pick up Development Kit 1 and it feels like crap. It feels clunky. The screen is terrible. Nothing fits very well. The Velcro straps are basically literally from a ski mask. The BOM cost isn't that high. You go to DK2, it steps up a lot. It gets a lot better, but there's still some problems. There's still a bit of weight there. The foam is There's a lot of all over the place. You get to consumer version 1, the foam is replaceable, so that after you have it for a long time, if you're sweating into it or whatever, it's not gross. The materials are really good. They feel very solid and they're very light, which is an expensive thing to do. The sensors in it are very accurate. It's extremely smooth. The screen looks great lately. Everything's really good. They have a new sensor stand, which is fantastic. All that stuff is great. People are complaining about the included controller, the Xbox controller.
Yep.
Not a huge fan about that either. I don't really care. I would rather be able to just buy that on its own. They're complaining about the included Oculus controller. Something Palmer has said, and I do believe him, however, is that those didn't even massively impact the cost of the setup, and they aren't making a ton of it on it, and everything that's inside the headset is really expensive.
Now,
And
I'm
I
going
do
to
believe that.
I'm going to jump in and say, yes, the headset is really expensive, but one thing
I wish it was cheaper too.
One thing that bothers me a little bit is that, well, not bothers me a little bit, but I guess it's sort of kind of like I told you so. You guys had this coming. I mean, Oculus, for better or for worse, had expectations out there that it was going to cost in the neighborhood of, I think we can all agree, we all thought it was going to be $250 to $400. Was that kind of the perception?
I would probably reach 300 or 450 was my expectation.
I was going to say that, but then I figure some people are probably pretty optimistic.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So from the Kickstarter campaign, and from kind of the way that was structured, and from the way that they talked, and the way that they never corrected anybody.
Yeah. And I think they thought,
and then, even worse, that was the expectation. That was kind of the number in the backs of people's heads, for better or for worse. Then when the Facebook acquisition happened, a lot of the justification, a lot of the reason we're doing this was to make it more affordable for everyone. So I think people were kind of running around thinking, oh, well, that perception I had before, well, maybe now that Facebook's basically dumping buckets of cash into this, maybe they're just going to sell them all at a $100 loss. Maybe I can pick up an Oculus Rift for $199 by the time it launches. And I think even though they never confirmed that either, the fact that they let us think something without coming out and saying, look, it's going to be over $500, because they wanted the hype train. They wanted people to at least talk about it. Because I know a lot of people who won't talk about something that costs more than $500 because it might as well be a Bentley for them. It's true, though. It's not affordable.
Yeah.
And I think they let that happen. I think they let that perception remain, and they used that PR line about the Facebook acquisition, which I don't think anyone's really upset about anymore, in order to smooth things over with the community. And then they dropped this bomb on the community. Oh, by the way, it's $600 US, which in Canadian rupees after taxes is going to be about $1,000.
Yeah, seriously.
It's not trivial.
Taxes and shipping, it's about $1,000.
It will cost almost as much as a VR capable gaming PC.
Almost as much, yeah. You need a lot of power. Side note, super interested into benchmarking for VR. That's going to be actually really fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. I'm actually not that surprised by its price. Once I tried on the consumer version 1 the first time, I immediately knew it was going to be way more expensive.
Right.
They ditched certain things, and I think this actually came with, it's an interesting point that you talked about the Facebook acquisition. I think this came with the Facebook acquisition, but later on. I think Facebook wasn't necessarily okay with the idea of ski goggle straps,
Right.
because they're super not ski goggle straps anymore. there's this thing that kind of sits on the back of your head, and it's great, and the Velcro straps are way more high quality now. You don't get your hair stuck in them really anymore. Like, the fit and finish has jumped massive amounts.
Right.
And in talking to people from Oculus, you point at something and they're like, yeah, that material was really expensive. Like, I don't think they necessarily wanted this to get really expensive, but Facebook was probably going, this needs to be social, this needs to be comfortable to wear. Financial analysts are looking at, I went to VRX. Financial analysts are looking at this going, you need to be able to come home and play a game for 6 hours constantly on this thing and then go to bed. Fit and finish, comfort, wearability went through the roof, and cost of materials went through the roof.
Right.
It happened to the Vive too. The new version of the Vive that came out here is way more comfortable than it used to be.
Right.
It's way less rickety than it used to be. All the stuff in the VR space feels way more solid and feels way more expensive. Although I'm thinking that it might be okay for the target customer base. Before you stab me, it's extremely hard to run a game at acceptable rates for VR. And before you say like, oh, my computer can run games at 90 FPS, you're gonna want really high settings, and you need 90 FPS to be like your minimum. It's gonna be really hard. You're gonna need a badass rig to be able to run this. So I don't really see that many people going like, I'm gonna spend this much money on my computer in order to run VR, when if the VR headset was $200 cheaper, they would be able to do it.
Right. So you're saying anyone who's got the disposable income to build a dual 980 Ti rig can afford an Oculus Rift?
Or if someone has that amount of disposable income and they were going to buy a Rift, I don't see $200 more being that difficult for them. I see $200 more being impossible for a lot of people.
Right.
But I think those people might not be having 980 Ti rigs, multiple 980 Ti rigs.
Right.
Maybe they do. I don't know. This is random speculation that I have. The Twitch chat is probably murdering me right now.
No, actually.
Okay.
I'm quite surprised.
It's crazy, the overall cost of a rig when you talk about
It's
ultra
really high.
wides
Yeah.
It's really high.
and VR.
And that's the thing right now. Monitors are exploding. People are
Right.
looking at
Yeah.
that PG monitor that runs at 165 hertz. It's
Yeah.
over $1,000 in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you compare that ultra wide experience to maybe I don't go ultra wide and I go VR.
So then tell me this. Okay, so I think we can probably put this turning into the VR show. And it is kind of a big deal at CES this year. Like
Yes.
the VR section of the show floor is like,
Everywhere.
okay, just kind of try and move through here. So there's various stages of adoption. Right now, I think at $600, where it really has zero functionality outside of games and tech demos, we're talking like the same people who are running around buying Google Glass.
And this is something that Linus and I used to talk about more, but always talk about on the WAN show, which is maybe you don't buy version 1.
Yes.
Version 1 isn't the killer version.
Yes.
Version 1 is the people that are crazy about it will probably go for it and have probably been planning to be going for it for a while. And then later, and this is again, there was this crazy financial analyst that was at VRX, and it was really interesting to hear him talk. He was saying, he put up some price ranges. He said if it's over $1,000, he doesn't think it's going to make it. If it's high range within $1,000, he thinks there will be hardcore adopters, and hopefully the industry can push forward, which is interesting because that looks like exactly what just happened.
Yeah.
If it's low, like under $500, he thinks it's going to be really good, but he's not sure if that's possible. And once you get to like $100 for a capable one, no, seriously, but this is going to be way down the line.
Yeah.
Once you're able to buy one of these for $100 and it's still a really good experience, that's when it explodes.
So I think there's a stage in between, and that's when it still costs, $600 to $1,000, but it's functional beyond just gaming and tech demos and even social interaction. Like, I think if they
Like
can ramp
telecommuting
up
and stuff?
Yeah, we were talking about
No, what I'm talking about actually is because we talk about the ultra wide monitors and how many of those are moving at $700, or you look back at any development in monitor technology. Let's treat it like a monitor for a second. Whether it's 1440p, 27 inch when that happened, or whether it's ultra wide now, or whether it's 4K. that $600 to $700 price point is actually palatable for creative professionals, for high-end consumers, and for people who like shiny toys. But these aren't the people also who are just like, whatever.
It's gotta be good.
So once it has a functionality beyond games, then I think we can talk. And if they get the resolution high enough that it can be a virtual monitor.
Because they have the virtual monitor idea, but you're right, the resolution isn't there yet.
Yes.
And this is, again, maybe the next version thing. So what you're saying is if it's good enough to be like a workhorse.
If I don't need to buy it on top of my ultra wide for productivity, now you've got my attention. Especially, like let's say I'm a day trader, for example. You get the resolution high enough, those guys can never have enough monitors. Those guys, if they can have virtual monitor space all
in their
around
New York
them,
apartment.
right?
Well, you can set up that essentially the crazy Star Wars computer thing that everyone loves, which is the monitors in a complete circle around them.
Yes.
You could just spin around in your chair.
Yes.
We have to figure out cables and stuff, but
Yeah.
people like Oris at Gigabyte are working on that.
Resolution has to be better,
Yeah.
but if you can deliver that, then I think that opens up an in-between stage where it can still be very expensive, but if it does more than just what I do for 2 hours on a Friday night after my kids go to bed, then I think you're able to access a lot more people.
And to
way.
be fair, the financial analyst that was talking opened up with, I know nothing about VR.
Right.
But I do a lot of financial analysis on the tech space. So he doesn't know about the potential for those things, and that's
Right.
a really interesting bit of input. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I don't know. I'm not 100% against the cost. I'm not happy that it's 1,000 Canadian dollars to get one.
Yeah, are you buying one?
Probably.
Sounds like it.
No, just need to be
He said he
friends.
wasn't happy about it, so he must be.
I mean, I have to, because if we're going to benchmark games in VR, like you already bought the Linus Media Group one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
We
Linus Media Group.
unfortunately missed the first shipping window.
That is a shame.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we had some issues with the credit card anyway.
We did. That's unfortunately what caused the miss in the shipping window.
So Linus Media Group is going to have one. We are going to be bringing you guys a proper formal review as soon as we possibly can.
And
now that we have a PR contact, maybe we can get, at the very least, maybe we can get our order bumped.
Yeah, no, I'm planning on talking to him about that.
Okay.
I still haven't received a message. Probably tomorrow, I'm expecting.
Yeah. So the sooner we can get on that, the better. And we are going to bring you gaming benchmarks.
And I have some ideas for those. They won't just be done the same way we do them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so that's done. But in terms of, you know what? I'm out.
What?
I'm not buying one.
Oh, yeah, I didn't expect you to.
I was going to.
Oh, okay.
When I thought it was $299 to $399 US, a few things changed. Number one is the price is sort of 60% to double what 166% to 200% of what I thought it was going to be. So that's number one. Number two is the Canadian dollar has fallen about 25% since that time, adding another couple of $100 to the cost.
I haven't ordered one yet, and that's actually strictly because of the Canadian dollar.
So I'm out. I might tool around with it at work, but that's a work device. That sits at work. That's for us to do work on. And I will not own one personally because I just am not in a position right now where that makes sense for me. So, you know what? We need to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
We need to do it. We need to do another Twitter poll.
Yeah.
So there's actually this is like
in?
this is a two-part answer right here. So let's get this poll going. Oculus Rift at $600. So was going was going to buy. They don't give you a lot of characters. Still no. Okay.
Struggle.
I'm just gonna do this really simple. So was, still, am, okay. Was, not anymore. And let's go with wasn't, and then am now.
And one thing that I want to add here is that there are a number of demos that almost no one has tried, which are flat out insanely incredible. One that I was able to try at NVIDIA last night, and I don't think has been shown very much. This one's not no one has tried this. But Bullet Train, have you guys played Bullet Train?
No, I haven't.
Bullet Train's a game made by Epic, and it's a standing experience for Oculus. It's a standing and pivot experience. You're not supposed to walk around. It's based on teleportation, slowdown of time, and firefights.
Wow.
You teleport around to different areas where there are firearms that you can pick up, and say if it's a shotgun, you have to actually pump it.
Oh, cool.
If it's a rifle, it's really inaccurate unless you hold it with both hands, and you have to actually position your hands properly. If you slow down time, you can grab bullets out of the air and throw them back at people. The one boss that I was able to fight, I have to catch a missile out of the air and redirect it, and it's going to be at a weird angle, and you have to and then redirect it and shoot it back at them. Incredibly fun.
Wow.
Right.
And I'm finally starting to see games other than Valkyrie that are wow, I really want to play that. So, yeah. And it does include 2 games. A lot of consoles, when they first come out, won't include a game, and then later will include a game. You get Lucky's Tale and you get Valkyrie with it. And basically, everyone's going to buy Valkyrie. So you can take some out of the costs if you consider that. Because buying a Rift and not buying a game makes no sense.
Right.
And buying a Rift and not buying Valkyrie, for most people, I kind of think makes no sense.
Okay, so I want to do the results of the LMG versus BS mods, or split the teams thing first. So 60% of you are saying it's going to be LMG versus BS mods. So unless I decide to veto it because I'm I don't want to lose that badly, that looks like the route we're going to go. Timeline TBD. These guys are really busy. We're really busy. We got to make sure it works for everyone. Now let's have a look at the results for.
Did you ask them before the show at all?
No, we've talked to them about the possibilities.
Okay, yeah.
Very
I've done very light pitches over a while, but
Yeah, you guys were kind of hinting little things, but
the opportunity.
You guys are down, right?
Well, we can we'll come up with a handicap of some kind. I mean, we'll do maybe.
I think we were gonna ride hoverboards while modding or something.
We'll do our
doing
stuff on
handstands on them?
hoverboard.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Mod the computer with your feet only.
Yeah.
that might be fair.
Well, I could if I'm doing some paint, I could put a blindfold on. Rod can direct me with the gun, and then we'll work something out to help you guys out a little bit.
Brutal.
Okay, so 2 minutes. So here's the final answer then. We've got 11% of you, a mere 11%, that say you intended to buy the Rift and you still intend to buy the Rift. We've got the page taking a little while to load. I wanted to refresh it. There we go. We've got 33% of you in the Linus camp. You intended to buy one. You are not buying one anymore. We've got 3% of you that have changed your minds the other way. You didn't intend to buy one, but now you're down. And a massive 53% of you never intended to buy one and still don't intend to. Very interesting. Obviously, these aren't scientifically derived results or anything like that, but there you go. It looks like there's a lot more people who feel the way that I do than I actually thought. Because
I do wonder if part of that is
letting everything
the
balance
shock?
out.
the shot. Yes, and something else. The one that I had, but I think you're both right. Which is the benchmarking performance.
Right.
I think a lot of people are going into this oh yeah, I want an Oculus, it's super cool, yeah. And then they see any price tag, they get to any form of checkout, and they're like, wait, can I do this? I'm going to have to upgrade my system. I need a better GPU, I want a new platform, I need this cost looks like more than just the head. No, I'm out.
Right.
I wonder how much this would change after somebody actually
tries it. That's a huge thing too.
Yeah.
One of Oculus's biggest things is they need to use Best Buy, as weird as that is.
Yeah.
And they need to get demos out, and people need to play Bullet Train, and people need to play Valkyrie, and people need to play whatever the CCP ends up calling, sorry CCP, but your Tron game. And they need to be able to try all these different things, and I don't know. Yeah. We'll see how it actually ends up in, I guess, once
I think it
people
might
get
play
their
out maybe
pre-orders.
like the Wii a little bit, where it took a while to get going. It was at a lower price point, but then it just kind of took off because it was such a new experience.
The lower price point helped.
It sure won't be 3D Vision.
Yeah.
Where they did get the demos out there and people did try it. And they still didn't buy it.
Yeah.
No,
Bullet Train, you had your set amount of demo time and you ran through the one scenario. That was all. It was like you walked this way and then you walked that way and then you fought and then everything was done. And I tried to get in line literally as many times as I possibly could.
You're that guy.
Yeah, but like there was other people doing it too. There was some chick who was totally not interested in video games or VR at all, but they had her try it just because she was there, and she went back I think 2 or 3 times.
Right.
So like, it's a thing.
It's cool.
It's
Once
really
you
expensive,
try it,
and
those
I don't
numbers
want
will
anyone to
change.
break the bank on it. Not what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but it's really cool.
All right, so thank you guys very much for tuning into the WAN Show. Thanks to our special guests, Bob and Rod, for joining us here on the WAN Show, and we will see you guys finally in a normal time slot in the normal studio next week. We had 2 statutory holidays fall on Fridays, so we ended up with weird pre-recorded shows that we were or were not present on, and then now we're in the hotel conference room. So we'll see you next week on the usual bat time, on the usual bat channel, etc., etc. Peace out, guys.
Bye. We don't have an outro. This is really weird. I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep talking
Sing.
until